welcome back to this review and commentary of episode number 11 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind. Pretty much, it's just a continuation of last episode where Narancia is more or less figured out that, his power is, he shrunk so small that literally he cannot do any more damage to Formaggio. He can't do any more damage to Formaggio. He's got this horrified look on his face. He decides to finally go and try to hide. He's him and his stand Aerosmith. I love the little thing where he runs the cat off. I thought that was hilarious. He thinks he's gonna approach these bottles, and then finally this water hits him, and it turns out that sure enough, like Formaggio has found him, and he's standing over him, towering him. He's stepping on him. He's like kind of torturing him. And even though he's got to be hurting, he's got like bullet holes all over him. Even though even if you've been like shot by a BB, that hurts. If you get hit by a stapler, that or anything, these little and these are clearly like big holes. I mean, these are like pellet size holes in him. So I mean, I know he's got to be feeling that. I mean, he's got to be like, ugh, how you feeling so good or something? He's sitting there like pouring blood. He's pretty messed up. But maybe it's the adrenaline. But maybe he's just a badass. He's taking it. He's not showing any he's not showing the damage that he's clearly should be experiencing at the moment. That's all I'm saying, because he's got holes all over him. He looks like a sponge. He's got so many holes. I love the fact where he's torturing poor Narancia. He's like ho ho ho, I'm a big giant. And he's like trying to squish him with his shoe, and he really is like putting a lot of pressure on him. And then sure enough, you get to see the origin of Narancia. I got to admit, I never really liked his character that much. In fact, I didn't like him at all. But after watching this episode, I had a newfound appreciation for him, and I actually do like his character. He's pretty honest, straightforward, and evidently came from some money. And you get to see the scene where his mother dies. That was pretty traumatic. And his dad, I'm kind of getting the idea that, I don't know, maybe something was mentioned in the comic. And I haven't seen. By the way, somebody had mentioned that, I guess maybe because I've seen some of the later editions of the comic and they weren't that great, but I checked out some of the older issues. Sure enough, some of the older issues are actually pretty good. So, and the art is really amazing. So I might have to redact what I said about the comic sucking. So, some of the earlier comics, I might have to go back and look at those. But anyway, I don't want to get off track. But something is up with their dad. Maybe in the comic it mentions it, but the dad, I somehow get the sense there was this something not being said in that scene. Something was up. There was clearly more indicated that the dad maybe beat the hell out of her or something. Like he was like abusive dad or something. But something was up. Because the way, like most dads, if the mom died, you'd be like, hey, come on, son, we got to stick together, Now, this dude acts like, whatever, like, she died, whatever, hey, you want to go, you don't want to go to school? Well, whatever, I don't care. He just has that attitude, like, maybe he blames the son. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Maybe the son was responsible for something happening. Something's up, this unsaid that they never really get into in the anime. But anyway, yeah, because the dad never ever looks at the son. He's just, something's up with that. And I love the fact that where he meets this blonde-headed guy, and I can't remember the character's name, but it doesn't really matter. He meets up with this gang. He's kind of like robbing stores. He gets in with the wrong crowd because obviously his dad's allowing him to do all this, and there's really some bad blood between the son and the dad, and they really. That's why I'm kind of getting the idea that maybe it was something abusive, that the dad had something to do with the mom dying because, being sick or whatever. And just, I kind of, they both blame each other. Whatever the reason, they really don't see eye to eye. So, and that more or less leaves Narancia on a life of crime because he gets to hanging with the wrong crowd. And sure enough, he thinks he kind of looks at, like most people, he looks at this gang like a new family figure. And for a while, I guess they pretty much are, and this guy that's leading them, he's more or less telling him like, hey, why don't you dye your hair? And he kind of does. And, everybody's like laughing at him. Well, you think, oh, that'd be great. Well, the very next scene, the next thing you know, he's being arrested. the reason why he wouldn't look like this guy, because he's setting him up, Narancia, to take the fall for his crimes. And sure enough, he takes the fall for it. And he more or less gets accused of all the things that, his supposed buddy did. And I kind of feel sorry for him. He's sitting there like, and even in prison, he's kind of like, like, wait, did I get set up? He's like, no way. And it really doesn't dawn on him till like later. Oh, I hate the thing, by the way, his eye getting messed up. That was pretty, ugh. Evidently, he got wailed on and his eye is really infected. Well, he goes back to meet his gang and then more or less like laughing at him, like, whatever, like, get away from us. Like, I just felt bad for him. He was, because like I said, he's so wide-eyed and like so, not, I want to say gullible, but he's really just pure-hearted. You could tell he's like a really good kid that's really had a bad life, and he's pretty honest, and he's a good person. And he had no idea that there was people like this that existed that would literally just screw him over, and he's pretty much been screwed over. And they more or less leave him hanging. And I hate the part where he's just in the street, and he's just like in, a fetal position, like, I'm just gonna die, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. Well, Fugo. Well, finally, Fugo sees him digging for trash in the back of an alley, and he more or less takes compassion on him, and he takes him into the restaurant, and he more or less takes him to Bruno, where Bruno and him they more or less give him something to eat, and later they get his eye treated, and pretty much he more or less like finally I guess Narancia like, hey, can I join your gang? Like I want to hang with you guys. But then Bruno's like, no, you stay in school and get back on the right path. But eventually he tells him, well, he doesn't just tell him to go back to school. He tells him to even go back home and go back to school, which he does, and begrudgingly. The dad. By the way, the dad didn't even try to get him out of prison or jail. He just more or less looks like, oh, hey, you're there, like whatever. They literally do not. There's just something weird going on there. I don't know what it is. Like I said, they didn't cover it, but eventually you could tell he gets back on the right track, and he realizes that, in a flash, thinking back that, Bruno was actually not angry about him trying to join the gang. It's more or less like, trying to get him, like, he realized that he needed somebody to give him some good advice in his life and get him back on track. And that's what he did. And evidently it worked. And that he really truly wasn't angry at him at the hospital, because he kind of like lit into him a little bit. But then that even impresses Narancia even more, because eventually he does get to working with them, Bruno and the gang, and he made quite the impression on him. And he's still a good kid. He's like I said, I really liked his character a lot more after watching this episode. I really thought little of him in the previous episodes, because he kind of looked like a dumbass, there really wasn't much to him until you really get to see his origin, and I'm kind of, as that's the nice thing about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You really weren't not that impressed with the characters until you really start watching and they start fleshing out these characters and their origins, and then you really appreciate their characters. And this is one of those episodes where I enjoy the characters a little bit more now. Well, eventually we get back to Formaggio, and he's still trying to step on him. And evidently Narancia, we didn't know, but he had a plan all along, and that plan, well, before I get ahead of myself, he tries to stick him in a bottle to get eaten by a spider, which almost would have worked, because the spider, it's literally, it's trying to paralyze him. It's trying to, it's bitten him and injecting him with poison. It's going to slowly eat him, and you think, well, like, how's he going to get out of this? This is probably not going to end well. And before he can do that, he finally realizes that Narancia has dropped a map. And sure enough, it is a map with every location of he's been. So logically, you can follow the backtrack and tell where the hideout is. So he's like, Formaggio is like, I don't even need you. I got a map. Like, what a dumbass. Like, it was a dumbass move. Now, don't get me wrong. Narancia is a nice kid. He's nice. He's good-hearted, but he's kind of an idiot. He's a nice idiot, but he's a good idiot. But, so, you think, well, this is it. Like, there's nothing else I can do. But then he turns out that Narancia actually had a plan all along. It turns out when he shot some shots earlier, he shot the car and hit the gas tank, and he's waiting for it to slowly ignite and catch fire. And sure enough, it does, which of course catches Formaggio, and he's burning up, and he's literally on fire. And Narancia is like standing there victorious, but then it occurs to him that Formaggio has shrunk down. Now he's still searching for them. Well, he's going to escape. I figured that was for sure that's what was going to happen. But I like Narancia's plan. He's, you know what? Fine. You want to shrink down? I'll blow the whole block up. He has a whole block on fire. Sure enough, you're so small, the fire is going to burn you to death. And sure enough, the plan works out because he sets all these cars on fire. And sure enough, Formaggio shows back up, and he's like, you impressed me. I had no idea to even think about that. Wow, that worked. Here I am. You flushed me out. And he's almost kind of like, good on you, sir. But then again, he realizes I'm a corner rat, and my power works excellent at close range. I'm going to take you out and kill you because I can't have you going, and telling the others that I'm coming for them and that they know I'm coming. So he's going to take out Narancia, but at close range, he thinks. I love the thing where he thinks he mimics a punch, but then he has Aerosmith to go and take the guy out at close range. I thought that was excellent. He just kind of does a feint on him, and he falls for it, and he finally ultimately takes him out, and he dies. But the mission kind of failed because all the money got burned up. The stuff got burned up and everything, and pretty much the streets in flames and destroyed the whole city block. Well, finally he gets back to the gang and instructs them on what, and kind of fills them in on what happened. Well, now they know that they come up with a plan. Well, we got to move. Well, basically they figure out, that they've got to move, or so you think. At first that's their first instinct. I was like, well, we got to move. They know where we are. But DiGiorno, he more or less comes up with the plot. Wait a minute. They know we're going to move. Let's just wait here. And, let's just wait here. And the boss will tell us where to move, because he'll know where we're at. And sure enough, that's what happens. His hunch turns out to be the right move because they all kind of give him a little bit of grief until it turns out, yes, they were contacted and, they've been emailed, and now they've got instructions, and they are supposed to find this safe vehicle. So the next episode, that's what that's going to be about. It's setting it up for the next episode. And before that, I mentioned that I said it was a vehicle, but if I remember correctly, it's a helicopter that they're assuming. So they can get to the vehicle, which will take them where no one will follow them. And Fugo, Abbacchio, and Giono are basically the ones that he picks to go retrieve this key. So that's the setup for the next episode. It's looking like, like I said, I like where this is heading. It's a lot more action. It's a lot more like the JoJo that I've enjoyed in the past. Not quite as good. I still don't like these characters as much, but I like them a lot better. As this is going along, it's improving greatly, and I'm glad that they've gotten rid of the the weird dances and everything. But this is I'm really enjoying this anime so far lately. So it's not my favorite, but I still enjoy the JoJo Bizarre Adventure series, and this is a continuation of that, and I still enjoy that. I'm hoping at some point in the future that there will be some more interaction with the older, the original cast members, and like from Diamonds Are Forever, from Diamonds Are Unbreakable, and whatnot. I'd like to see what happened to some of those characters, Anyway, I suppose that's coming along, but that's all for this episode. That's all for this show. Basically, it's a recap and commentary on the episode number 11. If you like these episodes and commentary about these anime series, please remember to subscribe or like these episodes. That's all. I'll catch you next time.